Wild Ginger Running live show. I am delighted tonight to be with multiple world record holder, fastest woman over 100k, 100 miles on trail and all the road stuff as well, Comrades champion 2017. She's a coach and she's also, I have to add this in, she's a champion beer drinker as well. I would like to introduce to you Camille Herron.
Hey!
So how are you doing, Camille? Like, what kind of a day are you having? What are you about to do?
Yeah. So yeah, it's 11:30 here right now in Colorado, and we're after I get done chatting with you, we're gonna drive up to the mountains and do some trail running. So yeah.
Awesome.
Good day.
That's great. And how are you coping with all the lockdown stuff? Are you guys out for one run a day like we have been lately, or are you allowed to just go out whenever?
Yeah. Fortunately, we're in a pretty remote part of Colorado, and so I'm used to getting out twice a day, and so we're pretty lucky that we can get out and still run outside and run multiple times a day like I do. But yeah, it's springtime here, so we're watching the snow melt off the mountains, and looking forward to getting up a bit higher in the mountains. So.
Awesome. Well, everybody is so thrilled that you are here tonight and giving us your time. I'm just going to read out a couple of things from people who, they're my patrons who have pre-arranged comments. So Lucy O'Dell, who is watching from Northern Ireland, says,
Hi, Lucy.
She says, Camille is one of my heroes. She's listened to you on the Bad Boy Running podcast. So
oh, yeah.
She is thrilled. She's got a question for you later as well. And Kurt, who is actually from the USA, he's just said, oh wow, she is awesome. I'm going to have to come up with some good stuff for this one. So I think Kurt will be watching and sending in a question later. And we've got some people watching live, so I'm just going to read a few people out so that you get a sense of who's watching on the broadcast. So Jeff Stahl says can't wait. John Airy says evening. He's just back from Waitrose in time. Good information. Nigel Barnett's here. Philip Haddock says hello, Camille, and Paul Hamilton says hello as well. So keep the comments coming in, everybody. We are gonna get right into the first question. So I just thought a little bit, just in case there's some people from the UK that haven't heard of you, which would be ridiculous seeing as you were at the running show this year. Could you just outline for us how you got into running in the first place?
Yeah, sure. Oh, you
hi,
see my husband. She says hi.
Hey, Connor.
Yeah. So I grew up as a basketball player.
Oh.
So we were just chatting about how I'm really tall and lean, and my last name is Herron, and everybody in my family is really tall and lean like I am, and so I grew up trying to follow in my dad and my grandpa's footsteps. Playing basketball, and so I was a pretty good basketball player, and then we had to go out for track in the 7th grade for off-season conditioning, and from the first day I could just run and didn't get tired, and then we had to try all the different events in track, and the longer the distance I did, so yeah, it wasn't too good. I've got was it T-Rex arms? I wasn't too good at throwing the shot put or the discus, and tried to hurdle. I wasn't a hurdler, but yeah, long distance running was kind of my thing. And so the following year in the 8th grade, I went out for cross country, and cross country is what made me fall in love with running. So yeah, I ran in high school, won state titles in high school, got academic athletic scholarships to University of Tulsa, ran in college for a brief while, but I had a lot of injuries. I had a lot of injuries when I was in college, and so I ended up getting what's called a medical hardship over here, and I became a recreational runner. And so met my husband when I was in college, and he's a 13:50 5K guy, very fast runner. So Connor was a really good runner. Yeah, he was pretty fast. So he's from Ireland, but he got his U.S. citizenship back in 2002, I think. And then he qualified for the Olympic marathon trials. he went to the Olympic marathon trials, and I was just a recreational runner at that time, and so I just got re-inspired from him, and got back into being a competitive runner after that, and he started coaching me, and my running career just kind of took off from there. So
wow. And how old were you at that point when your running career just started to take off?
I think that was like my 5th year of college, so I was like 22 or 23 years old. So I was a recreational runner for a couple years after I ran my freshman year of college. And what happened was we'd gone up to Boulder, Colorado for Connor to train with some of his buddies when he was running really fast still. And one day we went out running together, and I was going further than him. And he was like, oh my gosh, like, how much are you running? And I told him, I was running 70 miles per week, like for fun, like not even like competing or training or anything. So that was kind of the turning point where he started coaching me and giving me workouts, and my running just took off from there. But yeah, I was 22, 23 years old when I got back into running. And then let's see, I guess it was within 4 years I qualified for the U.S. Olympic Marathon trials, and I was a marathoner, before I became an ultra runner. So I did that for 10 years and ran marathons, and yeah,
it's amazing. And I just want to tell everyone about some of the records you've got in a moment, but I really need to read out some of these comments to you, because we've got so many people just like really loving this. Ruth says Camille is awesome, she is a machine. Loads of love for your t-shirt as well. The banana t-shirt.
And I got my yellow hat on today, so yeah, it's like I'm matching.
Yeah, so it's a Nike t-shirt with a banana underneath it, like a smile. Yeah. And Tim Brennan says nice banana t-shirt. And yeah, like so many people. Hannah says hi. Antonio says hi. Chris M says Camille is the best. I met her at Tunnel Hill 100. Greetings from Illinois.
Oh yeah.
I'm
cool.
sure you
Hi.
remember. Yeah, it's great.
Awesome.
So tons of people really loving it, and they have good reason to, because you are the first athlete to win all three of the IAU's 50k, 100k, and the 24-hour World Championships, which is awesome. You won 2017 Comrades, as I said in the introduction, and you've got loads of like world best times at like ultra distances. And I really love this record as well. The Guinness World Record for the fastest marathon wearing a superhero costume. So you've got to tell me what the costume was now. What were you dressed as?
Yeah. So when I was a marathoner, I think it was you guys probably know Michael Wardian.
Yeah.
I'd seen Michael Wardian run in a Spider-Man suit to set the men's world record for racing a superhero costume, and so I was like, oh, that was so cool. So I ended up racing as Spider-Man and set the women's record and ran 2:48 in the marathon in a head-to-toe costume dressed as Spider-Man. So
wow, that is an awesome time. And it's so cool. Like, you just get the impression that you love a bit of fun, and you like to drink beer and stuff and eat tacos, and we'll get on to a bit of nutrition in a minute. But I just want to just before we start asking a few more questions, you've had like a couple of like really bad things happen to you in your time. So like you lost your home to the tornado in 1999, and then just last year you had a near fatal car accident. So there's a couple of real setbacks there.
Holy cow. Yeah, I feel like I'm so blessed, because I've come really close to just having these crazy things happen to me, and it really makes me appreciate my life and what I was born to do, and I'm born to run. I'm born for ultra running, and so even when I had my car accident last year, I came out of my car and was checking my body like, oh my gosh, that's amazing, I even survived that. But yeah, I just feel so blessed, and when I run, I feel like I'm making the most of what I was born to do, and I'm really thankful that even though I've I've been through some injuries, and I'm just such a positive person that I've always, kind of got this glimmer of hope, and knowing that what I've had to endure in life, really just helps me to know that, this too shall pass. And so, same with the pandemic right now, that, I mean, this is a setback for society, but yeah, I mean, this too shall pass, and this will become part of the history, and, so I feel like I've had to overcome so many things that, it really helps me to cope with adversity in the future too.
Yeah, that's wise words. This too shall pass. And you got out of the car accident, and then you went on to win the Tarawera Ultra in a record time, like 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
We've used that actually for the thumbnail of this video, so I'm just going to pop up the picture there. It's a really nice picture, and it appears on your website. I hope you don't mind that I used it. But it's you wearing a lovely, like a bright, like orange top and red vest, and running through these beautiful trees. Can you just tell us a little bit about your love for trail running? So I, like we were talking about, cross country was my first love as a runner. I didn't actually really like running on the track. I mean, it was like boring. Yeah, I totally agree with you there. Yeah.
It was really boring. So I grew up out in the country in Oklahoma, running around wheat fields by our house, chasing wildlife and being outdoors. And so when I got into cross country running, that's what it felt like. It felt like, gosh, this is an actual sport, And so when I got into ultra running, crossing over from the marathon into ultra running, I did a lot of the road ultras. When won world titles for 50K, 100K, won Comrades, set all these records. But when I got on the trails, that was really like, oh my gosh, like I felt like it was an extended version of cross country running. It's like, okay, cross country is only 5K to 10K in distance or so, but this is even better. I mean, you go like my second trail race was up in Washington, and we had to run all the way up the mountain. And you had like a view of like Mount Rainier up there, and I started crying.
Oh,
like,
sweet.
I mean, it was like you just feel it, like here, like, and I started crying, and it just really like emotionally moved me, and being able to be above the clouds and see Mount Rainier, and and so I mean I feel like I can appreciate what road running is about, trying to push your human limits to run really, really fast. What trail running is about, and embracing what we're doing. So it's pretty cool that to be a versatile athlete and to be able to to appreciate and be just enjoy those things. So
yeah, that's fantastic. I love how you're coming over to trail, and you're hoping to do the UTMB this August, if it's on, fingers crossed, and maybe we can talk about that a little bit later on. But first, I would really like to ask you some questions from my audience about training. So we've got John Moisey here. He would like to know, well, first of all, he says, this is amazing. You're a true giant of ultra running. And he's like, how many records does she have now? I don't think we can even count them, can we? Unless you know off the top of your head, like 43, yeah. He would be curious to know about the mix of tarmac and trail in your week, like, and the volume of mileage you put in. So what's the mix of tarmac and trail, and what volume of mileage do you kind of do mostly?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it kind of depends on like what's my upcoming race. So if I'm training for a trail race, I try to do more trail running. If I've got more of a road race, like training for Comrades, I do more road running. But yeah, I would say, I try to do a mix of both road and trail, and sometimes, it might be like 50-50 of, doing, half my running on dirt and half my running on road. But, if I'm training for like the 24-hour world championship and, you're on like a flat, track or road, then, I try to do maybe 80 to 90% of my training on, flat road, hard surface. But yeah, I mean, training for UTMB, I'm going to have to get up in the mountains and, be doing more technical type of running. So, I mean, I try to get in like 1 to 2, if I'm training for something like that, try to do like 1 to 2 of my runs a week on like technical trail. And just try to, push it at a pretty steady pace, to, kind of mimic what I'm going to experience in a trail race. But yeah, as far as, mileage right now, I mean, I'm getting out and running twice a day, and I've been at about 120 miles per week for like the past 2 months or so. So sometimes I've been, closer to 100, and sometimes I've been closer to about 130. So I like to run. I mean, I like to run,
Yeah. That's amazing.
If it was up to me, I mean, I would get out and run, like all day. Like I'd be running like 200 miles a week or something.
Why don't you run 200 miles a week? Is that just like a training no-no?
Too much. Yeah. My husband's my coach, so he's got to for back the reins on me, but yeah, I feel really good running about 120 miles a week, and then taping for leading up to big races, and cutting back my mileage and stuff. So,
and I'm just interested to know, as a coach, would you be advising people to run 100 miles a week? Or is that just for elite athletes? What if a normal person, like a mid-pack person, is training for the UTMB perhaps?
Yeah. So yeah, we coach people all over the world, and I mean, it really just depends on the person and the demands of their life, and just trying to strike a balance so that they're not burning the candle at both ends. So yeah, I mean, usually when we start working with somebody, we ask them, what their background is like, what kind of mileage do they like training at, and so we can develop my approach, for somebody that's like on lower mileage. I mean, I just run further, really. I run further in my runs. I run multiple times a day, and so yeah, I think what I do, can be catered to anybody with any mileage. And doing what they like to do and what they enjoy in terms of mileage and workouts and that sort of thing. So
yeah, so it's all relative, isn't it? It's just so different for everyone. And just in a similar vein, really, Abazir Nazir, he's training for a marathon, and he's really keen to see what you think. He used to do like a long, steady 20 miles. And he says it seems that that's vital for the longer distances, but should he... Oh, it's the dogs! I just heard them. They want to go to the mountains. They're like, come on, Camille. Oh, cute. Maybe we'll see one. Yeah, but he's saying, like, should he ever run longer than 20 miles to train for a marathon? The dogs are like, yes.
The dogs are like, yes. To run longer?
Yeah. Do you need to run any further than 20 miles for marathon training, he says?
Yeah. I've experimented a lot during my running. Oh, here comes the dogs.
Oh.
They're
Hey, dogs. Oh, cute. Oh, look at that.
Oh, that's wow. His video.
Abazin is actually listening right now, and he says, the dogs like my questions. Are they going to come run in the mountains with you later?
Here he wants more head pets. Yeah, I think we'll probably leave the dogs at home. They get a little bit crazy with the wildlife, so.
Yeah. Bless them. Somebody else who's watching, the anarchist, says his dog just flipped out, and he's laughing about that. And Chloe just asked, do you run with the dogs? But I already asked you that question.
Yeah. Yeah, Connor used to go take the dogs for walks, but our dogs are kind of like the opposite of each other. Like we got one dog's really lazy and the other's really hyper. So yeah, I mean they're we've got a really big backyard and they like to chase the squirrels back there. So yeah, they'd probably be a bit of a handful for me if I tried to run with them.
Yeah, especially if they were on a lead, they'd really pull you along, wouldn't they? Big dogs like that. Yeah, are they Alsatians?
What's that?
Are they Alsatians?
What type of dogs?
Yeah.
We have so we have German Shepherds.
Oh, German Shepherds.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see the front of it. I only saw the back, so I wasn't sure what it was. Yeah.
What's that? Oh, chat. Connor's goody. Uh-oh. Connor's trying to get Winnie. Oh, there comes
Hey,
Howie.
Connor.
He says hi.
Hey. Cool. Yeah, he should have come to the chat too because he's also a coach. He could have answered Abazir's question about should he go longer than 20 miles if he's training for a marathon.
Yeah. So yeah, so to answer the question, so yeah, I've trained. I've tried a lot of different things in my running career to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And at the beginning of my running career, I was trying to go longer with my long runs, getting up to 24, 26 miles in training. And when I started to cut back my long runs to about 18 to 22 miles, and then going for a second shakeout run during the evening time, that would be like 4 to 6 miles. And so when I started doing that, when I started shortening my long run and going for a second run in the evening time, I started to get faster and recover. I started to recover faster, and then I could bounce back for like midweek and do something like mile repeats or a hard interval. So yeah, I think works, but I actually found that shortening my long run helped me to get faster, and that was when my marathon time started to drop and I started to really improve my PR. So
wow, I feel like we've just learned a massive trick of the trade there. Off we all go to run less mileage and then another run in the evening. That's absolutely brilliant. Thank you for that tip. That's great.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, even if people don't want to go for the second run, that they could go for a walk. Like go for walk for 30 minutes or just to shake out the legs, because your long runs take a lot out of you, and so I found that second run really helped to kind of shake out that that stiffness and soreness that you get from your long run. So
and equally, like maybe a spin on the bike, like a really easy spin if you like cycling. Yeah, or a swim, maybe a swim.
Or swim.
Yeah,
exactly.
So much you could do. That's great. And Abazir says thanks. So that is great. And we have another question about training from Matt Walker.
I'm drinking water, not beer.
We're already disappointed. There's some questions about beer soon. But first of all, we have another training question from Matt Walker who says, does Camille periodize her training? If so, what kind of things does she focus on with each phase?
I don't really think about it too much as far as like I have to follow like a structure, throughout the year. That I really like to train a variety of ways. So I mean, for us, we think of it as like a 2-week cycle. In a 2-week cycle, you're trying to do a hill session, short intervals, long intervals, and a progression run, which is like a tempo run. So there's four main workouts that I do in a 2-week period, and I mean I like to train that way year round, pretty much. Just trying to hit on all the different types of training and to train the body in a variety of ways. And then because I do both road running and trail running, I also try to mix it up on the surfaces and the terrain, and just to work the body in a variety of ways. I have a degree. I have my bachelor's in math. I've been taught a lot about the methodology of periodization, but a lot of it, that I figured out is, from my own, trial and error of figuring out how to mix and match training and then, taper for peak performance too. So.
So it's very individual, isn't it? And it takes some years to get the experience with that. Yeah, I can see.
Yeah. And even like with the athletes that we coach, people like to train, like some people like to do, these really long runs, and other people like to do short intervals. So a lot of it, is just being really in tune with your body and figuring out what you like to do and, catering to the athletes. So.
Yeah, it must be really fun coaching all these different people and just seeing them, bringing them on. It must be really rewarding.
Totally. Yeah, I've really enjoyed getting into coaching. Being able to coach people all over the world for like all different distances. And yeah, I mean, we've had people setting like national records and that sort of thing. So I mean, I get just as excited, when somebody's setting PRs and bettering their own self. I mean, that's like, I'll jump out of bed, like wake up and get a text, from somebody over in Europe that just ran a PR. And so that's really exciting too.
Yeah, it's awesome. I can see you're so passionate about it. It's really cool. And so that's amazing. Thank you so much for the training questions. That's really awesome. You've covered this a little bit already, but there's a question from patron Arlene Matelock here, and she's got another question as well. I can see on the live chat. She says, "Oh wow, Camille is awesome." She is wondering, from the point of view of a back of the pack runner, which she says that she is, do you as an elite runner get a chance to enjoy the scenery during the ultras? Because she says sometimes it just looks like the elite runners are working so hard to compete like against each other or with the terrain or with the race and the times that you might not get a chance to enjoy the journey. Do you ever feel like that, or do you wish you could just stop and look at the view sometimes, or is there a time for both things?
Yeah. I mean, whether I'm running on road or trail, I mean, they're both pretty different. And so if you're on road, your scenery can be a little bit more boring. But yeah, even like when I ran my 100-mile world record at Tunnel Hill, it was on a pretty flat rails to trails type course, and so it's like lined with all these trees, and you had like the sun coming through the trees, and it's like fall time, so the leaves are changing colors. And I remember like the first like 40 minutes I was running with some other people, and I kept saying out loud like, wow, look at the sun coming through the trees. So I'm somebody that, like I said, I grew up out in the country. I grew up, running around wheat fields and learning to appreciate nature and wildlife. And, I'm the type of person that stops and looks at rocks and looks at, talks to the cows, out in the road. And so yeah, I feel like I'm somebody that does like connect, to the scenery and what's happening around me. But I'm also, very intense and very focused internally, my effort and just trying to get the most out of myself. So.
Yeah, so you can do both at the same time. That's amazing. And she also wants to know, which kind of terrain and climate do you prefer? Like, do you like desert or mountain or the hot or the cold? Do you have a preference?
Yeah, I like it all. I mean, the thing I like to do is to run, and to be able to take my two legs and to climb up a mountain or run. What is it? 167 miles, around in circles. I mean, I really appreciate what my body can do to move over a landscape. And so whatever landscape I'm in, that I learn to appreciate where I'm at in the moment. So yeah, I just like to run. So wherever I go, I learn to enjoy, what my body's able to do there. So.
Awesome. That's brilliant. You can't really choose, can you? Everywhere's amazing. And just like back on the topic of racing just for a moment, John Nyson's quite keen to know, do you prefer to lead a race from the start, or would you rather chase? And if you are leading, do you ever like look behind, like a little look behind at what everyone else is doing?
Yeah. I mean, what I do in ultra running. I mean, I'm fast. Like I don't feel like I would be doing myself justice if I tried to hold myself back. So I'm really focused on getting the most out of myself, and regardless of what other people are doing, I'm just focused on my own effort. So I tend to lead from the start because I'm trying to go for records. I'm trying to be pretty aggressive and race aggressively. And when I first got into ultra running, and people didn't know who I was, and they saw me up with the men, and they're like, what is this woman doing up with these guys? And so I would hold the pace, like I would stay up there, and I might even beat all the men. And that was really weird for me as well, because I was like, what's going on? I'm beating the men and they're dying. So I had to get used to the fact that, like, as a women can beat men in ultra running, and so I've had to get used to being up front and being ahead of people, versus a marathon where I might kind of be further back in the crowd, and have people around me. So
yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I do love that over the longer distances, and with other things to consider like gear and terrain and nutrition, the other things that can go wrong, women are competing much more on an even playing field with the men now. That's great. I'm so interested to see how you're going to get on at the UTMB if it goes ahead, because so Courtney, when she won last time, she wasn't at the front, but the lady who was at the front, she dropped out because she did go too fast, too hard. So it's interesting, that race, because you can definitely wear yourself out in the first, on the first few significant climbs, and there's loads of them. I mean, the cool thing about trail running is, there's a lot of drama that can unfold because of the unpredictability of the terrain and what each athlete's going through, I'm just as much a fan of the sport as I am being the competitor. And so it's been really cool. I love following UTMB every year, and just seeing what happens. And so it'll be really cool if I get to be the athlete and to be in the race, and people following along for 24 plus hours. So yeah, it's going to be awesome. I so hope it goes ahead. But before we talk about like what's next for you and stuff, I'd like to talk about the nutrition side of things. Sure. So we've got a few questions around tacos and beer, obviously. The first one is from Paul.
It's like my taco. This is like my taco hat.
Oh, is that a logo of a taco place?
No, it's actually it's a Nike Trail. We got some new hats. So I've been calling my taco hat.
Hey, oh, is that because it looks like the hats that taco people wear?
It kind of looks like a taco. Yeah,
the thing looks like a taco.
Yeah, it looks kind of. That's the Nike Trail symbol. But I'm like that looks like a taco.
Oh, I have to admit, I don't really know what a taco looks like. It's not like a major thing in the UK. Like tacos and burritos, it's like a shell with like mince and veg and stuff inside. Yeah,
it's kind of like a triangle. It's kind of like a triangle. Yeah.
Cool. So taco hat, right? Every day's a learning day. So basically, Paul Hamilton says, "Hi Camille, you are well known for drinking beer and eating tacos during ultra races. Why did you choose these kind of foods to fuel up?"
I think it goes back to high school. Well, not the beer part, but the taco part.
We don't mind if it's the beer part as well. But you're allowed to drink quite a young age in the UK, so that doesn't bother us whatsoever.
But yeah, I when I was in high school, we used to go to Taco Bell between track races. So I'd usually run like 2 track races in the morning and then go to lunchtime. And my favorite thing to eat was at Taco Bell. So I would get what's called the double decker taco, which was a soft shell taco with a hard shell taco in the middle. So it's both soft and crunchy. and it's awesome taco. And so yeah, I got hooked on eating tacos between my track races. So when I got into ultra running, and I joked, oh, you should go to Taco Bell and get me a taco, because that's what I did in high school. And so I tacos just work for me. Like they're really tasty and really satisfying. And so yeah, that's how the whole taco thing happened. Now as far as the beer thing, me and my husband, we've been home brewers for a really long time. And so I mean, I'm really into beer and the science of beer. And what happened was, one time I was running an ultra trail race back in 2016, and I started to feel like kind of bonkish. About, let's see, maybe about 80K. I think it's about 80K into the race. I started to feel kind of bonkish in the race. And I stopped at an aid station, and I was trying, all different things at the aid station, and nothing was working. But my husband had a 6-pack of beer.
Fabulous.
So yeah, he went and got me. He asked me if I. God, that sounds so good. So I went and pounded a beer, and I popped out of the chair and got back running, and I broke the course record in that race. So
wow, you must have needed it then. Maybe it's something about like the B vitamins in beer, or I don't know, like maybe your body's really good at metabolizing alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, we drink beer on a regular basis, and I mean, it's with any ultra, you enjoy your favorite things. Like, you could get 80 miles into a 100-miler, and somebody ends up having ice cream or a popsicle, or and that kind of like perks you up and makes you happy to get going again. So beer, I'm a bit of a science geek, and I know that beer or alcohol is a vasodilator. So that means that it helps your blood circulation. And so my theory with the whole taking a beer in an ultra is that it helped the blood circulation to go back to my brain.
Yeah.
Because I was feeling really nauseous at the time, and I was feeling, kind of dizzy and stuff. And I think it helped my blood circulation, so that I got some mental clarity, actually, is what it felt like. And so back running, and I ended up breaking the course record. And we joke about it, it's kind of my thing that I do, and like kind of late in the race, and it just kind of perks me up. So
yeah, it's brilliant. I love it. And do you go for like a low alcohol version, or like we do have Mick who says, what's your favorite beer during and then after? Like, is it different during to after? Different strengths maybe?
Yeah. I've tried all different types of beers and ultras, and it kind of depends on where we're at, because my favorite beer here in America is Rogue Dead Guy Ale. So it's a brewery up in Oregon that makes really, really good beers, and so that was the beer that Connor originally gave me in the ultra that helped me get back running again. But yeah, when we were in France, they didn't have Rogue beer, but they had a bunch of like Belgian triples. They had Belgian triples, so Connor was able to get me like a pretty strong beer, like probably like 9% alcohol. So yeah, that I ended up having that kind of late in the race, and had that with a burrito, and and that's what I took in that race. So
awesome! Oh, that's brilliant. I think that's amazing, and I think maybe maybe the veins dilating, the vasodilation, maybe there is something in it, and the blood can get through, and there you go. But yeah, I think I've had a beer once, like in the middle of like cycling somewhere, and then I just felt really sleepy. So I think it has a different effect on me.
True. Yeah, it might depend on the person. Yeah.
But for you, it's a great, and there's loads of people in the live chat are going mad for this drinking of beer, and they love the Taco Bell. So Abazir Nazir says Camille is a Taco Bell with like LLE, like as in you're beautiful. So nice Taco Bell.
I like that.
Yeah. Philip says, now that's my kind of fueling up with the tacos. Alex wants a patron taco night in the future. And Paul is he says, thanks for answering my question. I think I'm gonna start drinking beer on my runs. Rigby, Rigby Unbound says, I'd love to know more about the science of beer, like a carbs painkiller. Abazir Nazir says, is beer better than Tailwind? Do you have Tailwind in the States? Yeah, you do.
Actually, I think Tailwind is based in Durango, which is not too far from where we live. So I have had Tailwind in a race before, and it's a pretty good sports drink. But yeah, I guess you'd have to do a research study to compare beer to Tailwind.
Yeah, or maybe they should make a beer flavored one.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe have both beer and Tailwind in a race.
Like a Tailwind powder that you can put in your beer that's like designed to be with the beer.
There you go. Yeah.
And then Rigby Unbound says, some people produce Tailwind after having beer.
There you go. That's funny.
And John Joe 70 says, wow, I'm loading a beer into my last drop bag from now on. Yeah.
Nice.
And Chloe Mason says that she misses her club's pub runs. So they run between sometimes 4 different pubs. So that sounds really fun. And Hannah Baisley is wondering if a gin would work the same. Maybe
a gin. Oh yeah. I know, like up in Leadville, they have an aid station where you can get Fireball.
Wow.
So Fireball. I don't know if you guys have Fireball, but it's like a cinnamon. Good. I actually really like. Well, I like whiskey, and so I like any sort of liquor. But yeah, Fireball is what the ultra runners take over here. So if you like gin, I guess we're all an experiment of one. So yeah, if you like gin, why not?
Yeah, that's so cool. Unfortunately, you broke up ever so slightly when you were telling us what's in a Fireball. Could you just repeat that for us?
Fireball. So Fireball is cinnamon. It's cinnamon whiskey. Cinnamon. So it's cinnamon flavored whiskey. Okay. It's really tasty. Like I don't know if you guys can get that or get something similar to it, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, sounds amazing. It sounds good. So we do have another nutrition question from Andrew Devine, and he, like, just riffing off this whole idea of tacos and beer, he says, is it a good idea to eat real food in the aid stations on your ultras, and then gels out on the course, or do you just stick to one or the other? Like, what do you advise? So when I run an ultra, I'm pretty much trying to get in 60 to 90 grams of carbohydrates per hour. So if you look at a food label and gels have like maybe 20 to 30 grams of carbohydrates, and so what I do is I try to take a gel every 30 minutes. So I might be getting 50 to 60 grams of carbohydrates per hour from gels, and then I also sip on a sports drink. So you guys are talking about Tailwind. I use my sponsor's Unived, who makes a sports drink. So usually I'm alternating taking the gels or the sports drink. But yeah, I mean I start to crave like more solid type of food. So I might have, potato, taco, potato chips, whatever they have at the aid stations or whatever my crew has, that I just kind of like work with my body, and I take like whatever my body feels like it needs. And so if I end up having like a potato, then I will replace my gel with the potato, as my carbohydrate source. And so I just try to like mix it up so that I'm getting in that 60 to 90 grams of carbohydrates per hour. So yeah, it sounds like it's a nice variety of like sweet and savory, and to again, like just like the training, just find out what works for you personally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I find that like the longer I go, so like when I get into like, 100 miles, 24 hours, doing the really long ultras is when I start to want, more savory type of solid food. So,
Yeah, definitely. You definitely want a bit of savoury. I've been known to run along with a quiche. Do you have quiches in America? Yeah,
oh,
I had a quiche. It was quite crumbly.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
running along whimpering, trying to eat quiche. It's not a
Yeah,
pretty sight.
yeah.
So that's
Cool.
brilliant. There's tons of amazing advice there. And now, before we go, I'd just like to ask you a little bit about like what is happening for you in the future. And for example,
Huh?
Lucy has a question because she's there over there in Northern Ireland, and she knows that Connor, your husband, is Irish as well. Is there any Irish events that you'd like to do, or any routes over there that you quite fancy, or that you've done already and you really like?
Yeah. So yeah, we've been up to Northern Ireland. We went up to the Giant's Causeway.
Oh,
The Giant's
cool.
Causeway's up there. So for all the Led Zeppelin fans out there, they might remember the album. I don't remember which one it is. Is it? Yeah, I don't remember which album it is. But the Giant's Causeway was the inspiration for one of the Led Zeppelin albums, and so yeah, we went up to visit up there, and I think there's like a whole we saw a trail that goes along up there, and so I haven't gotten to run. I don't know how far it goes, but it looked really cool. So as far as Northern Ireland, I mean there's probably so much to explore up there that but yeah, we had a really good time when we visited up there. Now on the west coast of Ireland is the Cliffs of Moher. So
Wow.
the Cliffs of Moher is amazing, and so they have like I think it's about 8 miles or so. They have a walking trail that well, most people walk it, but of course I go and run it.
Yeah.
And so so yeah, that I would say that that's the most beautiful place that I've run at is on the Cliffs of Moher on that trail that goes along the coast there. But yeah, I have friends. I have friends that have been. I think there's the Kerry Way Ultra.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
yeah, there's the Kerry Way Ultra, and so I've had some friends over there that have been trying to recruit me to come run that, and yeah, so I mean I'm open. We love visiting Ireland because Connor's parents live in Dublin, and so yeah, I mean I love visiting the Dublin Mountains and the Wicklow Way, and yeah, and so we were just there back in January when we came to the National Running Show, and ran up the Dublin Mountains a couple times, and yeah, so yeah, it's beautiful.
Awesome, that's so cool. I was just trying to have a look. Are you coming back to the National Running Show next year at all? Do you think
Yeah.
you'll come back?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty crazy, like everything that's happened since then. Because yeah, I mean that like this was like a massive event that we had here back in January, and I mean it was really cool that I got to come over before everything that's happened here the past couple months, and if they're able to have it again next year, I mean I'd love to come. And actually, yeah, the David Hellard from the Bad Boy
Oh
Running
yeah.
podcast. Yeah, like he's asked me if I want to come back, and I mean I'd love to come back. So yeah, fingers crossed for that as well. So
Cool, that's awesome, and we've got some people who are familiar with Ireland giving you some like top trails over there. Like if you were to go back again, so Niall Ainsworth says there's an Ulster Way that loops around around Northern
oh,
Ireland, so he's recommending
okay.
that. We've got they do. John Joe 70 says they do a marathon on the Giant's Causeway, so that would be fun.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
So that sounds cool. And
Yeah.
then, just like, so obviously we've chatted about the fact that you want to do the UTMB, so like fingers crossed for that.
Yeah.
But we had a question from Arlene Matelock who wanted to know if you are doing if you wanted to do the Barkley Marathons ever. Is that something you would ever consider? So it's crazy. But with your long legs, you'd be brilliant over all the briars. It'd be amazing.
Yeah, good point. I mean, I would love, I would love to do Barkleys, and I guess I have to figure out how to get into Barkley because I mean, there's all these like little like quirks to that race, and I mean, it takes a certain I think was it John Kelly? John Kelly's one of the finishers of Barkleys, and he did a blog on what it would take for a woman to win Barkleys. And so I think he said like you have to be at least he was a 2:46 marathoner. So I mean he said like in terms of running ability that that if you're like a 2:46 female marathoner that that's what it would take in terms of running ability. So I've definitely got the fitness to do it. I mean, I'm still very new to trail running, so it's kind of a matter of doing it when I feel like I'm ready to do something like that. But yeah, I mean, we joke that I'm one of those people that would accidentally win Barkley.
yeah, you just be like, oh hey, yeah, where's my tacos? Have you got a beer?
I would have like a beer. I'd probably like find my way. I'd probably like accidentally find my way to the finish line and be like, oh, there it is.
Yeah. How are you on the old navigation? Like, would the navigation be difficult? Or would you be all right with that?
Yeah. Where was I? I was doing. I feel like there was something I was doing recently where I had no idea where I was, and I somehow looked at like the landmarks of where I was, and I was able to like get myself back to where I needed to go. And so I joked that, I've already got the skills down for Barkley.
Yeah. Well, I think if you're new in the Barkleys, I think you can follow somebody else, can't you? Like that people tend to hook up like an old person with a rookie, don't they? Yeah. Oh, it'd be so awesome if you entered, because I think because next year I think like Nikki Spinks will probably have a go again.
Nikki.
Yeah, I don't know if Jasmine Paris will have a go next year, because she will have just I think she's due a baby in like June, July kind of time, so it might not fit in with what she might not even want to do it. I haven't asked her. But yeah, it would be so cool, wouldn't it be, if there was like 10 super good women like you and some other people that would just go and have a go and try and smash it up. That would be so cool.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. Like if you had like some like all these women like and if we tried because the way it works if we all tried to stick together and like finish like the first the first 3 or 4 laps or something like that, and then they make you go like opposite directions, right, like the last loop. So yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, I believe like you just got to give it a try. You just got to be able to try, and so we'll see what happens. Like whenever is the right time for me to be able to try and take on something like that. So
yeah. Well, I wish you the best of luck in anything that you want to take on. And I want to say a massive thank you as well for coming on the show. And I know that you're going to go and run in the mountains just now, so it's like getting to nighttime here, so we're all going to go and have dinner.
Go have a beer.
Go and have some beer. Yeah, but I just want to say a massive thank you, and I want to read out some really nice things that people have said to you. That all peppered all the way through the conversation. So I'm just going to do a bit of scrolling. Oh, I already told you about Camille is a Taco Bell, and but loads of people having loads of love for you in the live broadcast. I think I've just scrolled past what I was trying to find. But Lucy Odell says, thank you so much, Claire and Camille, because you just answered her question, so that was great. And Nadia Federman has only just joined, and she says, it looks like I just missed a beer conversation, so she's pretty sad about that. I just want to a shout out to Guy Greatorex, who is listening to this on a run right now. How cool is that?
Oh, cool.
And he says that it's been great because he's been laughing out loud loads. So thank you. And Paul Hamilton says, thanks, Camille and Claire. I've never smiled so much listening to a YouTube chat. So that's cool. And just a few more, just before I let you go for your mountain run, Chloe Mason says, awesome guest, thanks Camille, you're the best. Yay.
Awesome, yeah. Woo.
And John Joe 70 says, lovely interview, you are very nice Camille, smiley face. And
I gotta figure out, what is there a hand symbol for a smiley face? I'm not sure. Is it like, I was trying to do a smiley face.
Maybe like hands under the chin. I know there's a heart one that you can do where you just put your hands together like that with your nails.
I did the heart one. Yeah, I've done the heart one before. Yeah, there you go.
Well, that one.
Like sign language. What's the sign language?
Yeah. Yeah. But everyone loves you. Arlene says, thanks so much, great interview. You answered a couple of her questions, so that is cool. And Paul Feely says thanks. Nigel Barnett says, very, very interesting, lovely interview. And Rigby Unbound says, great interview. Camille is fantastic, and good luck with your future runs. So that is amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Camille. It's been absolutely amazing. Sure. And good luck in all your stuff.
Thank you. Fingers crossed, UTMB.
Yeah, we'll all be watching. Yeah. Cool. Well, good night, everyone, and bye.
Good night. Bye.